Tennessee number 12 in the AP preseason poll. And I ask you this, is that too high or too low? And the question is brought to you by Zen Sports. Zen Sports, the new sports book in Tennessee. And they are revolutionizing the way you earn sports betting rewards. That means no more deposit bonuses that turn into deposit nightmares. On Zen Sports, what you see is what you get with their cash rewards program. You get a lot of cash. For a welcome bonus, earn an unlimited 5% cash back on your betting volume for your first 15 days. When you sign up with the promo code HOOKED, that's HOOKED, unlimited 5% cash back. Keep betting, keep earning with up to 3% cash back on your betting volume every month after that. Refer friends to earn a percentage of their betting volume as cash rewards too. Zen Sports bringing the cash back to Tennessee. So if you bet big on sports, you want to be betting on Zen Sports. Zen Sports betting just got better. And I'll tell you this too, that their futures for the over-under with Tennessee is quite enticing. I checked that out last night. So go to download the app, Zen Sports, and you'll have a fantastic time. Tennessee, number 12 in the preseason AP poll. It is today's tough question. John, let me start with you. Too high or too low? What are your thoughts?
I think anywhere between 10 and 15 would be fine for Tennessee. The coaches poll had Tennessee 10th last week, so there's not a real big discrepancy there. I think there's some questions about Tennessee's defense, particularly in the secondary. Some uncertainty about Joe Milton as Hendon Hooker's successor. And there's some spots in the offensive line that might create some concerns. So I think that's a valid, 12. I don't think you can complain about that. On the other side, I think everybody recognizes that Josh Heupel's offense is really hard to slow down. So I think those are the factors that play into it.
I totally agree. All right, Caleb, what teams ahead of Tennessee do you think should not be ahead of Tennessee?
Well, last week, when the coaches poll came out, I railed against Clemson and Florida State. So I won't do that again. I want to be nice to them. I'll just wait till the season starts when I start picking against Florida State every week. Right now, Florida State LSU line is about 2.5. I want to see if I can get more money on an alternate line at like 7 or 8 or 9 for LSU. But this week, I'm railing against Texas. Yes, I'm going ham on Texas because I don't see where the love for Texas is. You can say you have questions about Joe Milton entering the year. I got questions. Well, there's no questions about Quinn Ewers, really. He's just bad. I mean, that's the way I look. It's one thing to be a sure thing when you're good, but I feel like Quinn Ewers is a sure thing of not being good. So I'm not so sure where this hype behind Texas is coming from. I've been similar with Florida State. I have been on the Texas is overrated train for a long time. They have no business being ahead of Tennessee. I probably would have put Tennessee ahead of Washington only because Washington last year hit the lottery. Anybody that followed them, they didn't have to play USC or Utah last year in the Pac-12 schedule. And that ends up being how they finish 11-2. But they do have a quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. who is very, very good. He's a sure bet the other way. Fun fact, he was committed to Tennessee in 2017 until the Butch Jones disaster hits.
Oh, that seemed to go well compared to Jeremy Pruitt. John, what teams ahead of Tennessee because you used to be an AP voter, and God bless you, it's almost like volunteering for a charity because you would wake up and spend 2-3 hours, right, every Sunday putting together your AP vote because you really cared about it. It's not like the coaches poll where the sports information people that know nothing about football typically do it. But you would do your AP poll. When you look at that, I know you said it's okay, but what teams do you think Tennessee should be ahead of that are ahead of them now?
Well, I think I have a little bit of a problem with Clemson when we talked about that last week. Came out in the coaches poll. I know this is a completely different season, and I know their quarterback will be better this year. That was an unusual position he was in. However, Tennessee beat Clemson handily and did so kind of left-handed almost without the main players on that team, particularly offense, top 2 wide receivers, quarterback, Hendon Hooker. So to me, that I wouldn't have Clemson ahead of Tennessee. A lot of this depends on how you look at it when you do a preseason poll. What I tried to do is how I thought the teams would end up.
So at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of the year, here's my opportunity. Here's I think will be the top 25. And I rarely got the number 1 team right. I picked Alabama when it didn't win usually. I think the other way to do that is to say, who's the best team? Who you think is the best team? Schedule really factors into this. And so when you look at teams like Clemson and Florida State, granted, Florida State has a tough opener against LSU. It's an underdog. But overall, playing in the ACC lends itself to a better record. The selection committee is supposed to consider schedule, and I think it does in the NCAA tournament, but I'm not sure if the football selection committee is putting enough weight on schedule at this juncture in terms of how the team should be ranked. But when you're doing a preseason poll, to me, and I look at that and I say, well, you got when Tennessee has to play Alabama and Georgia. Imagine if Tennessee had, well, let's say Clemson's schedule. Or even, well, Texas have a Caleb brought up Texas as being overrated. I agree with that because Steve Sarkisian is still the coach. And I'm still mystified why everyone thinks he's the next Nick Saban or Urban Meyer, but there seems to be a movement afoot out there. He's anything but. He's never really won any championships. So
he has a cool name. He has a cool name. It sounds like it should be on Star Trek or something.
Yeah, and he's pretty good at a cocktail party.
Oh gosh.
Well, just saying.
No, he is. He makes every bartender happy.
Yeah.
I'm with John on this fully with Steve Sarkisian, and I've been on that train for 5 years.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I want to go back to the Clemson thing too, how Tennessee did so left-handed. And John, if you can dive into that, because we talked about it last night. They did so left-handed. I think some people were thinking just naturally a new quarterback because Hendon Hooker got hurt. But it was way more than that. It was a lot of the guys, if people forget, opted out to go ahead and get ready for the NFL.
Fortunately for Tennessee, Darnell Wright didn't opt out.
Yes.
At offensive tackle and became the number 10 pick overall. I look at Clemson. When I look at Clemson, I can't help but compare it to Clemson at its best, and it's just not at its best right now. It's as though Clemson is, excuse me, Clemson is kind of watered down. It's a, maybe nine win team. Maybe you need to talk a minute.
Oh, I can talk a minute. And Caleb, if it's a 9-win team, I think that's kind of where at number 12 that most people have Tennessee. If you're at 12 in the AP poll, you're kind of a 9-3 team in that area, right? You're 10-2 if you're top 10 or better. It's basically the projection. We all agree on that.
Yeah, yes, theoretically, which is unfortunately, just to do a little sidestep, why I cannot stand the new college football playoff model coming, because I don't like seeing 9-3 teams play for a title. But that's going to happen next year. But that's a different story for another day. And I would say 9-3 will get you flirting with the top 10 in the SEC, particularly when you see Alabama, Georgia, and LSU are unanimous top 5. Well, Alabama and LSU have got to play each other. Lucky for Georgia, they get to avoid both. But I would say that's so. If you're 9-3 in the SEC in a certain scheduling year, you could be top 10. But I mean, ACC, you got to be 10-2 minimum to be top 10, in my opinion.
So, John, I think basically what this is saying, the voters are saying that they think Tennessee is going to lose one of those coin flip games, or they're going to lose a game other than Alabama or Georgia, or maybe both. When you look at number 12, is that 9-3 to you as an AP voter, former AP voter?
Yeah, probably about right. I think you win a bowl game, you're 10-3, then you can still make the top 10. If Tennessee wins a bowl game, goes 9-3, wins a bowl game, and two of its losses are to Alabama and Georgia, it's definitely in the top 10. That's going to play into this, the Alabama Georgia game. And I think it's reasonable to think Tennessee would lose one other game. I don't think it will, but the idea that Tennessee is so good, it won't stumble. Everybody stumbles. The key element of that is, do you stumble and still win? Tennessee stumbled against South Carolina and lost badly. So there's that possibility out there. But also, I don't think it's a given that Tennessee loses to both Georgia and Alabama. I could very well see Tennessee winning one of those games.
Yeah, I do too. I would have Tennessee in the 9-10 range because of that. And using your criteria, John, if I go through the schedule, I think that they are a 10-2 regular season team, so I would have them around the 9 or 10 mark.